Hello! Welcome to the Knit Song Podcast. My name is Audrey, and this is my podcast about knitting, crocheting, yarn dyeing, sewing, and any other creative adventure that I might be up to at the time. So, welcome to episode 15. If you are a brand new viewer and this is your first time watching the podcast, welcome. So glad to have you here. I hope you enjoy a cup of tea or coffee and just enjoy talking, knitting, and crafting stuff. If you are a returning viewer, thanks so much for coming back. We got some more subscribers this week, which was exciting. Had some great comments and conversations with you guys. So thanks so much for not just tuning in, but participating in the growing little knit song community where we get to share what we like to do. So yeah, my contact information is below, but on Ravelry, I am katknitss, and on Instagram, I knit a little song. And big announcement today. I can't do a drum roll because I have a delicate teacup in my hand. Big announcement is I have a website. This podcast has a website. So I will link it in the description box below, but if you would like, you can head over to the new and growing knitsong.com. So this website is basically going to be the hub of everything that I am doing creatively. So right now, if you go there, there's an about section, and then there's a sign up for the email list if you want to get notices about stuff that I'm doing, and I'll tell you what that'll be in just a moment. But yeah, if you head on over there, that's what you'll find right now. But in the next few weeks, it's going to be including and growing to some more exciting things. And I'm not going to say too much right now. I am super excited. I've been working super hard. My husband's been working super hard. He's the one building the site for me. And so we've been working late nights and weekends to try and get this done because he is very, very busy at his full-time job and is completely occupied with that. And so it's hard to ask for his time off to help with that, but it's been so funny because when he does have a little bit of time on a Saturday or Sunday or like late on a Thursday night, he's been like, so for your website, what do you want? Like, he's as excited about it as I am, which is awesome. So I can't believe that we're doing this right now because he has probably never been busier at work and has less time than ever, but he's getting it done, and I've been able to just work on a ton of the stuff that I'm going to be putting on the website. So anyway, all that to say, that's going to be a good place to go. So it does have a link to my Instagram, a link to my Ravelry, a link to this podcast. And so if you go to knitsong.com, you will find a link to all those things. So yeah, it's going to be kind of the central, like I said, the hub of everything that I'm doing. It'll be on that page and linked to that page. So I'm not going to say a lot about what's going on, but I am going to give a little bit of a hint because I want to see if there's any good feedback about it, if people would be excited about what I'm thinking. So number one would be obviously some yarn to sell. So I've been working on dyeing up a stock to put on the shop, which is coming soon. But the second thing, and the thing that I'm the most excited about, is I think that the first club that I want to do for yarn would be a Downton Abbey club. And I mentioned this a few episodes ago, got some feedback that there was interest, and my brain started going crazy with all the ideas, and so I think that's going to be the first thing that we do. So that'll be coming in the next couple weeks. Super excited, and I'm just going to be working really hard on getting some stuff ready. So yeah, it's been a very, very busy week creatively, and that's been awesome. So yeah, that's kind of my intro for the week. I do have, I think, let's see, the next thing I wanted to mention is just kind of the how you been section. I hope you've all had a good July. I can't believe it's August 1st today. Back to school is coming. I'm a teacher. I love teaching. I love my students. I'm a teacher. I love teaching. I love my students. No, I'm just kidding. I do. And it's hard to go back because it's been so nice to have time off. but oh no, back to school. So I've been doing some school planning, planning my curriculum, my music, and so it's been kind of fun and exciting to get back into that too. But yeah, it's hard to say goodbye to summer. August 1st is like a little bit of a blow to the soul. It's like, oh no, July is gone. So anyway, I hope you guys have been having a nice July. I definitely really enjoyed July. I would love to hear about your creativity this summer and just see how your last week of July went. Yeah, I think it's been a really good summer, like for me creatively. It's been a lot of fun. Personal stuff in the last week. My husband and I had our anniversary, and that was really fun. So we got to go celebrate and had a really nice dinner. The week before our anniversary was actually his only chance to really take a couple days off. So I guess that was last week. We went around town and just had a great time, went out and celebrated and just enjoyed the beautiful area that we live in. And so anyway, it's been a good couple weeks. Yeah, so that's kind of how I've been. And yeah, so that's kind of the how you been section for today. Anyway, I'm very, very much excited to talk about all the good stuff I have to show this week, so I'm going to move ahead. I think I'm going to talk about knitting first. I knit a lot I didn't knit a lot this week, but I did knit a significant amount, I think. And some of that knitting included pulling things back. So inches-wise, there's not a ton of progress, but there was progress made that was satisfying. So I'm going to I'm going to put my tea down. Oh, and my tea mug today, tea cup today, is a beautiful gift from my friend Jen from school. So yeah, I'm enjoying some peppermint tea and enjoying that a lot. So I'm going to show my Malabrigo yarn Ravelry download, the Reyna Shawl. I love this pattern. It's so fun and easy, and I just love the way that it wears. Let me show you what I've got. Like I said, inches wise, it doesn't seem huge, but there was progress made, and that makes me feel good. That's enough for me today. So it's getting bigger than the needles, so sorry. I'm trying to adjust it. Okay, so here is what we're getting. Yay! So a little preview is all of this gorgeous color that they use. I am so a fan of their yarn, and I'm having a ball knitting it. I'm knitting it on 5mm clover needles. It's Malabrigo in 064 Chispas. It is a worsted weight, and it's delicious. I love it. It's great. I think John at Fashion Knit in Walnut Creek, if you're watching, hello, the man who sold me this yarn. He described knitting with Malabrigo as knitting with butter, and I totally get what you meant if you're watching. He's right. It's just delicious, and it's so soft in your hands. I just adore it. And so I'm really excited to have this as a piece of my fall wardrobe, because a lot of the colors that I wear and continue to wear are white, gray, and black, and I like neutral colors a lot. And I like neutral colors with a pop of something, I don't know, colorful or like a floral. I think I like accessories to be more bold and my staples of clothing to be more simple. So this is also, although a very neutral color, I love that it's going to go with so many different things that I have, and it's so neutral you could really wear it in any season, but especially for fall, I just can't wait. So this is growing, and this is going to happen soon, and this is going to be a thing that I get to wear. So yay for Malabrigo. There we go. And now you can see some of the growth. I promise it's getting bigger. Anyway, so yeah, I am enjoying this. On the clover bamboo needles, I really like how Malabrigo feels with the bamboo. It's such a soft and squishy yarn that the drag from the clover needles doesn't feel as much as it does with other fabrics. It doesn't catch on it at all. It doesn't feel, so it's slippery but not too slippery, and I just enjoy it so much. So here is the ball if you wanted to see some colors that they have in there. Big fan of this yarn. So that is work in progress numero uno. The second work in progress. I'm so excited. I made more progress on this thing than I have in weeks, and I am so ready to get this off the needles and wear it. Sorry, I'm really anxious about this one. I'm starting to call it Greenie because I don't know what else to call it yet. I haven't named it, and I'm making it up. So here is the growing Reyna Shawl. It's getting wide. I cannot pull it because it is going to be larger than the needles, and I don't want to have to lose those stitches. So here is what's happening with Greenie. So this is my own hand-dyed yarn. I have not named this colorway either. This is one that I will put in the shop. It's a fun one to dye, and I think I'm going to name it something relating to grass because it reminds me of spring lawns. So maybe I'll just call it Spring Lawn. Who knows, but this will be in the shop soon. I'm going to have a shop. I'm so excited about that. Crazy. Who would have thunk? Not me. But anyway, excited. So this is in a fingering weight yarn. I started on 3.5 needles, but I have switched to 5mm needles. And these are the Chow Goos that I was raving about last week. I love them so much. They are just the perfect needle for me right now, and I just love holding them. Yeah, I am determined to have this cast off and done. I'm going to wear it next podcast. I am so stinking close, and I'm going to get this done, maybe even in the next couple days. But episode 16, I'm going to be wearing this. So excited. Yeah, there might even be a surprise finish to this project, and that would be fun for everyone, I think. Anyway, so yeah, it's just growing, and I'm really loving it because it's a fingering weight shawl. It's going to be super drapey, and I love drapiness. So yeah, really happy about how this is knitting up color-wise too. This is the first full project that I've knit with my own hand-dyed yarn, and I'm really liking the way the color's laying out. I really enjoy it. It's not too pooly or pockety. It has a really nice just tonal effect to it. You know, I'm still finding my dyeing style, but I really enjoy the tonals and tonal speckled. More things that are kind of in the same color family that just add a lot of visual texture and variety. That's kind of my main place right now with dyeing, but as you'll see in a couple minutes, I've been playing with things outside of that as well. So here is Greenie, and she'll be done next week. She must be done. Yeah, I'm getting to an obsessive point with this shawl because as it grows, I love it more and I want to wear it, but then there's more stitches on the needles, so every row takes longer, and yeah, exciting though. That is all that I've been knitting, except for some secret swatches of things that I can't show yet. So I've been swatching and playing with new things that I've been dyeing just to see what they look like knit up, because I like a skein of yarn that I'm dyeing to look cool in a skein, but I want it to knit up in a way that I think is usable and that I like the way it lays out. So I've been practicing with a lot of those and found some really cool things. And you'll just have to hang in, stay tuned, subscribe to the email list. If you want updates about when the shop goes live, please do that if you are interested. And yeah, on the podcast, I'll share and show those updates too. So yeah, that's really all I've been knitting that I can show, which is good. I think the next thing I'm going to go to is, sorry, I'm looking down at my notes here. I'm going to talk about yarn dyeing. So, what to show first? Okay, first things first. My mother's best friend, my godmother, her name is Jo-Neal Boic. She is a watercolor artist, mainly. She does other mediums as well. But most of the things that I've seen of hers are watercolor. Excuse me. She is a beautiful, beautiful person and makes beautiful, beautiful artwork. So I posted on my Instagram feed that I used her painting, a card of hers that I have, to inspire some dyeing that I did this week. And I wanted to, sorry, I'm going to be out of frame for just a second. I really wanted to, sorry, this is stuck. I really wanted to practice dyeing some complementary color schemes and just play with some new techniques, and I really enjoyed it. And so I used her painting as a jumping off point. So this is the beautiful card that I have of hers, and this is a watercolor, and it's called Georgia on My Mind, and it's from an original watercolor by Jo-Neal Boic. And if you want some of the most beautiful greeting cards I've ever seen, please go to this website. And this is her website. She's so wonderful. I will post this below in the description box. But she has beautiful, beautiful things. So I love the colors in this so much. I was like, I wonder what I could do. And so I played around and got this. So it's hard to kind of show. Let me hold them both together. Let me see if I can get them all in the same shot. And so there's what we got. So it was a fun trial. It was fun to play with. And some of the brighter tones, there's a couple places of a pop of orange that don't show up in this game so much, but I was really happy with what I got. It was a ton of fun, and I posted on Instagram what this looked like wet and in the dye pot. But yes, it was a lot of fun. So this is on a 100% wool yarn, and it's a lot more rustic than I'm used to working with and dyeing with. So it absorbs color a little differently, and it was just a learning experience in many ways. It was good. But I've been knitting up some fun things, some of those secret swatches with this, and oh my goodness, there are some really cool things that I've been able to do with this colorway that I worked on. So yeah, this was number one. It was fun. I found that I don't know. It was really fun to work with a color scheme that I was trying to mimic. It was just a different experience than just watching what's happening in the process and then responding to what I'm seeing. This was more looking at what I was trying to shoo the colors towards and make that happen. So it was really a fun brain exercise, and I just enjoyed it. So yeah, so this was number one, first thing I did. Real happy with that. That was the first thing I dyed this week. The second and third is I was really inspired to dye some things that I don't know, that I just kind of had in my mind that I wanted in my stash. And I thought they'd be good things as I'm getting ready to stock a little shop. I thought these would be good things to have as their tonals, and they're kind of monochromatic but have some speckle to them and just a little bit of texture. So the first one that I did were these guys, and voila, I really enjoy them. They're a light tonal green with dark green and purple speckling and some other weird colors in there that kind of show up differently. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. The light is kind of washing it out. So I'm wondering if it'll show up better on this side because of where I have my light. There we go. Yeah. So these are going to be some of the first things in that first update once we get the shop ready in about a week. So yay! So there's these. The next thing that I dyed, I wanted to do the same thing, but in a kind of pumpkin fall feel. And so this one was more specifically inspired, and I will show them here. And I'm going to call these pumpkin chocolate chip ice cream because, or something along those lines. We'll see. Because when I was little, my parents took me to this place called Duffy's, and it was in the Bay Area, and it's not there anymore apparently. But it's one of my earliest memories, and it's crazy. But I remember around October going to Duffy's Ice Cream in San Leandro and having, I think it was called broomstick ice cream, and it was only in October that they offered it. And it was pumpkin ice cream with chocolate chips in it. And it was so good. And it was called broomstick. And it was just delicious ice cream. And for some reason, I was really craving pumpkin ice cream the other day in the middle of July. And I was like, ooh, what if I dyed a kind of fall pumpkin-y color that way? And I was thinking this might be really fun to use with like a dark brown as a contrast with the little speckles and things. There's not a lot of speckling in this one. It's much more tonal, but yeah, super excited about how this one turned out. Yeah, so more things to come with this, but this was the third thing I dyed this week, and I've got a few of those. And then I thought, okay, I've been really playing with a lot of tonals, monochromatics, and speckles, and yes, they're gorgeous and they're usable, and I love them, and I'm going to use them. What if I did something crazy? And I thought, I'm going to do that. And so yesterday, I played with some crazy color, and this is what happened. Da-da-da-da-da. And this, I'm going to call this one, I think, Telegraph Avenue. I grew up near Berkeley, California. I know one of our viewers is from Berkeley. Hello. I can't remember your name off the top of my head, but I can picture your picture on YouTube. But yes, I know we have at least one viewer in Berkeley, so go Bears. Anyway, I was raised near Berkeley, and my dad went to Cal, and my cousin went to Cal. Gosh, I know a lot of people that went to Cal. And so our family colors were kind of blue and gold. My dad would take me to Berkeley a lot when I was little. He would dress me in tie-dye a lot when I was little. And we would go and look at all the crazy vendors on Telegraph Avenue when I was little. So these are very much colors that reminded me of that experience as a kid. They had, if you've never been, it's kind of like this famous street in Berkeley where there are just tons and tons of vendors that sell tie-dyed goods, super colorful like ribbon lawn ornaments, all types of crystals, beaded jewelry. Basically, it's kind of like stepping back into the 1960s in, you know, the hippie days and the Haight-Ashbury. It kind of feels like that. It's a very colorful experience. If you love crafting, it's really fun because a lot of the things that people sell there are, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've been, like a good 10 years. But a lot of things are handmade, jewelry. It's just really, really a visual feast. And it's bright, bright colors. And so this is my little homage to that experience. So this one is Telegraph Avenue. So I'm really enjoying what happened here, and it was so much fun. I am going to put these in the shop that is being created, and I am excited to see what these can do. Honestly, what I'm planning on doing with this one, I have a couple ideas of using it by itself, but I really want to use this with black, and I want to use this in a contrast because I love high contrast, and I love the idea of this next to some black striping. Yes, so more to come with this one. Here it is wound up a little bit tighter, looking a little bit different. It doesn't show the color as well as the looser skein does, but I'm super excited about these, and it was fun. This is also fingering weight on a 75-25. It's going to be on the description of the product. So yes, Telegraph Avenue, very fun. So that was what I dyed this week. So I did a lot of dyeing, and there was some more that I will show later. But that is kind of my yarn dyeing segment of what I have to show for this week. So more to come soon. And obviously, as I mentioned, like getting excited for a Downton Abbey club, obviously the yarns will be probably very different from this, because what I'm enjoying so much about dyeing is that you get to explore all these different kinds of color experiences. So just saying, I'm so excited to basically play in all directions and try new things, and I'm excited to offer, you know, different things and just knit with them myself and see what people like. But I'm like, I don't think this is exactly what the Downton skeins will look like, but who knows. Yeah, this was inspired by Telegraph Avenue, so it's a little different. But anyway, yeah, I'm just having a ton of fun with that. So I think the next thing I will show is sewing, but I need some tea before I do this. While I'm having my tea, I'll tell you a funny story about knitting. A couple episodes ago, I mentioned my obsession that is ever growing with the Grocery Girls and Off Our Needles. So I so enjoyed the show. I enjoyed Tracy and Jody so much, and I was watching it, and it was so funny because I was at home. I mentioned, you know, in California for the wedding, family wedding, and so my mom and I were staying at her house for a couple days right before the wedding, and my husband was with his brother because it was his brother who was getting married. So they were doing like all the guy stuff. Like it was like the whole wedding was planned in just a few weeks, and so they were getting his tux. They were doing like, they were running around town doing all this fun stuff. They just did a lot of great stuff. And then on the girl side, we were doing a ton of fun stuff. So getting ready for the shower and all that. So my mom and I were working on the flowers and the recipe for the tea, because we had a tea for the bride the day before the wedding, which was so much fun. And so I think it was like the night before the shower, and we had done all this cooking, and we were just like on a creative high because we had been doing all this creative stuff and just having fun. And it's so fun preparing for company. But our minds and souls were very much uplifted, but our bodies were extremely tired. So we were getting ready to go to bed, and so she has a TV in her room, and so we were just hanging out, and I was like, oh my goodness, Mom, you haven't seen Off Our Needles yet, and you have to see this. So we Chromecasted it. Well, at home, on my Chromecast, it's set up so that after a video is finished, another video doesn't play. It resets, and you have to choose another video. Well, my mom's, it just keeps going. So we were so tired. We sat down and we played the most recent episode of Off Our Needles. We watched the first episode. We let it go to the second one. It played another Off Our Needles. And she's crocheting her blanket. I was knitting on my shawl. And so we're just kind of like enjoying their show. And completely, somewhere in that second episode, we were exhausted. We both completely knocked out. And so we woke up sitting in her room. No, we were on the bed crocheting. And so we woke up the next morning on her bed. And then there was a French knitting tutorial on. Like, so it had gone all the way through. Like we found out it had Chromecasted all through the night. And so all night as we were sleeping there, just passed out from event exhaustion and fun stuff. It was hilarious, but you know, Off Our Needles became, you know, I'm sure it just, you know, kept suggesting videos, but eventually it was a very technical tutorial, but it was in French, and it was like an hour-long tutorial. So we woke up and we were like, what in the world? Like, who's speaking French? Like, what? Oh, I guess we left that on. And so, yeah, we woke up to a very long French tutorial, which was awesome the next day. So that's a thing that can happen. And then it was really fun. We woke up, got cleaned up, and, you know, got dressed up, and then did the final touches and had the tea, and the next day had the wedding, and it was a lot of fun. But that was kind of a fun, memorable knitting moment, to just completely pass out and wake up with some French knitting tutorials in the morning. So yeah. Sewing. Here we go. Last week I mentioned a great book that I love, my current favorite book at the moment. It is Gertie's Ultimate Dress Book, and it's an awesome book. I am going to be doing the rockabilly dress, and I stated that I was going to make a muslin, and I did it. So this is like a mock-up. It's just a practice. I did not do a lot of detail sewing, obviously, on this. I'm going to try and bring this around. Like I said, sleeves are unfinished. Basically, the whole idea of the whole reason, you know, I did this was to see if the bust and the waist and the hips and the sleeves fit. They did, and I think her sizing is awesome. It's really comfortable and flattering, and I have minimal changes. So everything fit, it zipped up comfortably. Everything was comfortable, but it's white, so it's really, there we go. It's really hard to see. And I didn't finish this collar. I didn't sew that down. So like I said, total work in progress, just a practice. My first pleated skirt, my first dress that had structure to it. But you can see there are bust darts, and they fit great, but they are too tall for me. So I have to shorten the dart, and that is what I'm going to be doing this week. And once I do that, once those darts are shortened and fit my shorter torso, everything else fits. And so I think I'm ready to cut things out in the real fabric and make the dress. So yay! So this is my practice. It's kind of hard to show in white. It's really washing out too. It has a back zipper, and it's kind of messy, and I didn't even use a zipper that matches because it's just practice. But anyway, yeah. So big old progress. Who knows? I might have one of those finished sooner than later. So that's great. Moving along, I am going to show some crocheting. Crocheting? It's been weeks since I've had crocheting to show. But this is actually something that I found when I was organizing, and this is actually related to last week's episode of Offer Needles. I just keep coming back to that show. Anyway, but they were talking about knitting for charity, and they mentioned Knit a Square, which is a great organization that you can check out. I'll link it below. But I remembered, oh my gosh, in my bag from my old house before we moved here, I had some squares that I never sent, and so I'm going to send them. But before I send them, I'm going to show them. So it's a charity that you send squares of knitted or crocheted fabric, and they, in South Africa, they will knit it together and give it to a child or it looks like mostly children that they work with. But it's awful to see that the conditions of some of these kids where they live, they are very, very cold at night and don't have things to cover them and to keep warm under. And so they knit these squares into beautiful blankets, and they give them to these beautiful kids, and it's an awesome thing. So here's some of the ones that I have. And it's fun because this is kind of like taking you on memory lane. Here, I'm going to move this because getting some weird light bounce back stuff happening there. Okay. This is kind of like a trip down memory lane of my early fiber art experiments in general. This was one of the first, these were some of the first things I ever crocheted and knit. So lots of single crochet with different yarns, a square that is knit, the garter moss stitch edge, and then another, I think this is a half double crochet square. This one has some singles and some triples in there. Yeah, so just kind of fun to walk down memory lane and see what I was doing like 7 years ago. These are old. I'm embarrassed that I never sent them, but we moved right after I bagged them up, and then they stayed in that box, and then we moved again, and then I found them, and so here they are. So lots of different squares, and they request that you bag them up in a like airtight kind of bag, just so nothing spills on them. And you just send them and they put them together for you, which is awesome. So yeah, that is some crochet and some knitting that I have done in the past that I'm excited to pass on to help keep some wonderful people warm that need it. So that is going to be something I hopefully send before next week. And sorry for all the crinkling. Let's try to get those all back in there. Yeah, so next segment, moving along. I mentioned last week kind of starting a new segment, and it's kind of like knitting, crocheting health. Basically, it's keeping up with your crafting type of thing, and just sharing my journey of managing hands that cramp up. My job includes a lot of piano playing and typing, and I mentioned last week how it's just, you know, I have to really manage how to make sure that I'm taking care of myself and not overdoing it in any one area. So, yeah, I mentioned a book by Carson Demers last week. I've been trying to find a copy of it. I think I'm going to need to order it direct on his website, which I found. Yeah, and I'm super excited about that. So that will hopefully spur some good tips and conversation. If any of you would like to read it, I'd love to have on our Ravelry group. We could do a discussion, like a book club type thing on it. So let me know if you'd be interested in reading that, or if you already are reading that and wanted to have a place to discuss it. I would love to provide that. So yeah, but this week, some things that I would put under this category that I'd love to share. I played with some different ways of holding my needles this week, and I was shocked at how much it helped. So I'm going to use Greenie here to demonstrate. And I'm going to get kind of close here to the camera for just a sec. But I'm going to show kind of what I played around with. Now, everybody holds their needles so differently. I've watched so many podcasts, so many tutorials, and I'm always like fascinated by how people tension their yarn, whether they're continental, English knitters, whatever. But even within those two broad categories, there's thousands of ways to hold your yarn and to tension your needles, and which way your hands are facing you, which way your hands are facing when you knit, and all that. So I've been really just becoming more of a student of watching how people do that and then trying what works for me. So here has been something, a long time ago I mentioned that I used to knit. I am an English knitter or a thrower, so let me do this. Hello. I used to tension my yarn around my pinky and hold it here and then throw or flick with my finger. This was what was like really bad and creating a lot of wrist problem and tension because I'm contracting those muscles to keep them splayed out like that. So the biggest thing that I did, and this is what I mentioned before, was that I started tensioning my yarn more loosely around my middle finger twice, and then I don't have to hold my hand open to tension it. I can have my hand in a more relaxed place when I throw the yarn around the working needle, if that makes sense. So I'll knit a little bit and show you. But it's much more comfortable. And of course, because I'm holding this up, this is more awkward and strained than normal. Okay, now what I noticed this week is that I hold my hands, the back of my hands, facing me a lot. And that puts, I think, some strain on the back of my hands and my wrists. So this week, I started playing around with having my hands almost, turning the palms towards myself a little bit more. Myself a little bit more. And that gave me a lot more stamina. And it's something I noticed in other knitters that I was like, maybe I'm like, holding my hands with the back of my hands facing me too much. Like maybe I should try wrapping the hands around the yarn differently. the needles differently. I hope this is making some type of sense. But instead of this, I've been doing more of this, and it's great. So that's been working for me so far. I played around with Portuguese knitting, which is cool because I'm 50% Portuguese. So I was like, I want to try that for my family. And that one was interesting. If you haven't seen it, you probably have, but they actually use, goes around your neck, and you tension it that way, and there is a totally different, there are tutorials on it. I'm not going to claim this is a tutorial at all, but you hold it down lower, but it tensions around your neck, and you use your thumb to flick the yarn around and then bring it around. The Very Pink Knits tutorial on Portuguese knitting is awesome. I would recommend that. And yeah, but I even played around with that, and that one was good. It wasn't quite as comfortable as just knitting with my palms facing me versus the back of my hand facing me. And it's so crazy because those simple tiny adjustments and those simple little contractions make a huge difference, because those are little muscles that you're using them for prolonged periods. So the smallest differences can make or break your crafting health. So that's been something I've just been trying to be way more self-aware and just try some new things. So that's been really good. So if you're a knitter like me that tends to like to look at how things are, and when you're looking at them kind of pushes your hands this way, I recommend trying that. If I'm the only weird knitter in the world who does that, then guess what, everybody? I figured it out, and now I'm normal. I don't know. Yeah, but we all have different ways of doing things and different things that hurt and help us. And so that was one part of my little personal journey this week, and what I found helped and was good. So another thing I mentioned, stretches. I found some really good stretches that are helpful. This one, I'm going to stand, is really helpful after knitting a row, is just to stretch out your fingers, as well as you know, and I'm talking like long rows, like if it's a short project, every few rows. But it really helps me just to like roll my shoulders back, you know, stretch a little bit, do some hand exercises and some stretches, and those things all add up to make you a lot less tense, and it seems to be helping me a lot. So I'd love to hear any stretches that you might have. Put them in the comments below if you'd like. Any little tips that you might have along those lines, I'd love to hear, and it would be great to share with the community. So yeah. Oh, one more thing. I have purchased some, I think it's like Dr. Teal's. They advertise a lot on TV. Dark blue packaging with purple letters and white middle section. Anyway, Epsom salts that are lavender scented, and I don't use them often, but if I've had like a really tense day, or if my hands are just feeling a little sore, I do run like a little, I get like a huge bowl and put some warm water and just a little bit of those salts in there, and man, that really helps a lot. And so as an occasional help or soother for sore hands, those things really do make a difference. I mean, I don't know the chemistry behind it. I don't know why that helps so much, but it sure is soothing, and it really kind of takes that pain away, which is weird. And I don't want to get to a place where I'm relying on that, like, oh, I'll knit through the pain and then just soak my hands. I'm not there, but occasionally, if, you know, basically the way I want to approach it is, if my hands are hurting, stop knitting, take a rest, read a little bit of a book, do something else, water the houseplants. I'm notorious for killing houseplants, so that can be my cue to remember to water them. So yeah, but I'm saying, you know, as an occasional thing to soothe them, that might be great, because it works. So yeah, so those are kind of my health journey items for this week. But yeah, anyway, I do hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. If you've enjoyed the episode, please subscribe below so that you will be alerted when the next week's video is out. as I'm getting into a rhythm, it looks like Tuesday is my uploading day, Tuesday evening. So yeah, so glad you tuned in. Feel free to share any comments below. Yeah, feel free to head on over to knitsong.com and see, just like I said, right now it's just the About section, and there is a email list sign up if you want to receive updates when the shop goes live. That will be awesome. And yeah, I just hope you're having a great day, 1st of August, or whenever you're watching this, if you're watching this in the future. Hello, future. Yeah, I hope you're having a great day and enjoying just all kinds of good crafts and making things, and yeah, having a great creative week. So I will see you next week. Thanks so much for watching. See you later. Bye.